Okay, so this is what we picked up at the Do It Hardware store when we were out for pizza the other day, and I wanted to show you what else we got. I was grocery shopping at Meijer yesterday, and I picked these up because these are door stops that are solid, and a lot of door stops have a spring in them. I also have on hand a screwdriver for my repair and all-purpose drywall compound. This is just joint compound. They make spackle. Pretty much anything that is for drywall repair will work. I have to run out to the garage and get my putty knife, but this is the cause of my problem. That, and I am Indian crazy and Irish mad. So I get really upset at the boys, and I slammed the door open. The spring sprung sideways. It didn't stop the door, and I put a hole in my wall. I did this all on my own, just with my own crazy hormones. So Murdoch, being the sweet boy that he is, I just kept yelling and kept being upset because now I had a hole in my wall. So Murdoch, he's so smart, got a piece of construction paper, and this was the closest color he could find. And for 2 weeks, the color is closer in person than it is on camera. Plus his brother sprayed it with paper, or with water, or Bethany did, so it has curled up, but you didn't even know it was there. So in the meantime, this just turns out and turns in. So when you install it, you install the little strike here that this screws into, and it's okay for gentle opening and closing, but when you go crazy mad, then you can see it's kind of pointing up right now, and then it ends up failing. So it turned one way or another and allowed the doorknob to go through, because this is the door into the kids' bedroom. I don't even remember what it was about now. And at the time, I just was stark raving crazy. So door stops fail. Here's another door stop that had failed, and this was here original to the house. A hollow door with this type of door stop doesn't work because this is only a framework that's in about 1 inch or 2, and it basically just missed where that is. And this is not repairable. Wood filler isn't going to match that. So it's just stayed like that. So Murdoch and I are going to do a little repair job. Here's Murdoch. Hey buddy, come on in here. It's dark out there. Mommy's not using the rest of the house, so the house is dark. So explain to me about your repair job here. Tell me all about it.
I took a piece of construction paper and taped it to the wall.
And why did you think to do that?
Because of this.
Right, but why did you use construction paper?
Because this is the only thing for it.
And it's construction paper.
Yeah. And it's wallpaper.
That's right, and it's wallpaper. So it went on the wall and covered it. So what are we going to do now?
We're going to use the thing that you got rid of here to fix it.
That's right, and we're going to fix it up right, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to show you how to do a wall repair, everybody. And Murdoch is real handy at following through about things. So I'm going to go for a little walk and go find our putty knife. Okay? And I'll be right back.
Okay.
So Murdoch and I are starting our repair job. There you go. Yep. Good job. Now put that aside. Now Murdoch is 9 years old, and we are filming Murdoch doing this repair job because Murdoch is learning how to be a man. Mom fixes and repairs everything in this house, and this was totally my fault for losing my temper. But I have to teach. Okay, we can get a smaller one. I have to teach these boys how to fix things so that they will be able to grow into men who can fix things. So Murdoch is learning how to use a screwdriver, number one here. Number 2, he's learning the difference between clockwise and counterclockwise.
I already have.
Well, yes, he already knows it, but this is just reinforcing that. And lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And he's learning to maintain a home. You can hire a handyman to come in and do a list of jobs for you at like $25 an hour, or you can manage these little projects. The 2-pack of the door stops, and these are called rigid door stops. These are spring-style door stops that he's removing. $2.69. The bucket of wall compound has been used for many, many jobs in this house. You can get a smaller one. I think this is about a quart size. I think it's like $5 or $6. So if you go to a hardware store and buy the small little container that's only like this big, maybe 4 ounces, that's going to cost you about $5 to $6. So it's better if you are doing like us, we have rental houses, to buy the bigger one and just have it on hand. Or if you're like painting every room in the house, just get the bigger one.
It's much better if I tell you the screwdriver once I get out for enough.
To do what?
Once I've gotten it out far enough, it's easier to use my hand.
Oh, sometimes. It's soft wood too. This is real soft pine molding, so it's coming out easy. And you want to make sure that your doorstop is going into wood, not just the drywall, because it will never last. You wouldn't last a week of it getting pounded on. So the wall patch was overpriced at the Do It Hardware store for about $5.50. At like a place like Menards or Home Depot, it's going to be much less expensive. You could also, and this is steel reinforced, so that's partly the cost of that.
This doorstop is much better.
All right, so use the same hole, Murdoch, and use your hand to spin that in. And you can get it in as hard as you can with that. Yep, and push in at the same time. Because if you just spin without pushing, it's going to strip the hole. You're doing a great job. Murdoch's favorite things to do in life are play games and do puzzles and mazes. So to keep him in a mode of brain development, we have to sometimes direct him a little bit more than the others to keep him learning. Now, once it gets too tight for your hand, we can use a pair of pliers on the part that's closest to the wall, because it's a little square shaped there. But I think you're doing a fine job. Very good. Okay. Now, let's move on to the wall repair, buddy. We wanted to put in the doorstop first to make sure that after everyone else comes in the house, they're all working outside today, that somebody doesn't accidentally bump it and have it get damaged before it's even dry. See? That's going to keep it away, Murdoch.
That's really cool.
Take your paper off. Let's see how much clearance there is. That's a standard length. Yep, you'll need to make sure there's no tape. Now, part of this repair is you need to make sure there's no loose bits of drywall on the outside of the wall, and I've already done that. See, that spring before the bounce in, you've got at least 2 inches.
Twisted the spring like that, so it went
It did. Yep, the spring sprung. Okay, so the first step is to get the patch. No, don't separate it yet. Don't separate it yet. Remove it off of the packaging. There you go. Now come over here and close your door. Thank you. All right. Now, it is a fiber material with steel reinforcing. Now, you could use just the fiber tape, but that's not going to hold it really well. And if it's a very, very big section of drywall, they have a bigger one of these. So if your fist goes through the wall, it's the next size up. And I think it's probably sized just for that.
Yeah.
Now, we've got a little bit of curling on the edge of this. So I think we should trim that off to make sure that we don't have trouble having that stay flat, maybe.
Yeah.
But, well, the mud would hold it down. I'm going to trim it off. Okay, I was just telling Murdoch that we don't want a 20-minute video on a 5-minute job. This really is a 5-minute job. Remove the backing from the patch. I've already cleaned up the hole. Now center it, meaning put it right in the middle. Higher, higher. There you go. Now push it right on like a sticker. Yep, yep. Go from the center out. There you go. See? Now, this is made to be really thin so that when you add a layer, move your hands. Okay. We are running out of time with Baby Bear. Baby has been riding around in the front pack, and that's another reason that Murdoch is doing the job, because Mom can't do every job in the house now, right?
Yeah.
Murdoch has been learning much, much more responsibility. Now, this is not a proper putty knife. This is a scraping knife, but we're using what we had that we could find. So you take a little bit of this, okay, and you put it on, and you go from the center out, okay? Go from the center out in a real thin layer. So I'm pushing against the wall at the same time. So you go ahead. You have to scoop some up. There you go. We don't want to drip on the floor. Yep, go from the center out.
Okay everyone, so I'm back at the drywall repair, and the kids are all playing in the basement today, so it's time for me to get on and finish with this. So Murdoch came earlier today, and he did a light sanding over this so that he could learn how to do it. So now I'm going to do the finishing. Don't use sandpaper on this. It can be too coarse. You can use a very light sandpaper. The higher the number on sandpaper, the coarser it is. But fortunately, with drywall, they sell special sanding materials for it that are super fine and won't cause scratching in the finished plaster that you're putting over the top. So this is a sanding block made for drywall, and it's a sponge. And these are made for wet or dry sanding. So you can get this slightly damp and it will dissolve and make this really smooth. I don't really like to do that unless you're just doing a nail hole, because it can be quite messy and it gums up. You can see here I've got some dried on wall filler or spackle. These have a rougher side and a smoother side, so we've gone over it with the rough side. And you can do this however you really like. I like to do it in small circles. And I do it very light on the second coat. And watch for very small little pitting. When you're doing this, you want to make sure it's feathered out so that it doesn't get a bulge in the middle. Because if you remember, when you used your putty knife, the putty knife was kind of curved in the center to create an area that was higher in the middle of the knife. You don't want to take too much off because you'll get down to the material, your patching material. And if you do that, you can just add some more. And any little pits that you see will be magnified with paint or with primer. So if you see a little pit, work on that one little area. And if you see a spot after you've primed, fix it before you paint it. So it looks good, nice and smooth. Now we can just hit this with the primer. Now fortunately for us, we always have like leftover paint, and if you even have just a little bit of paint, empty it out of that can and store it in a mason jar so that you can do touch-ups later on. It's really, really hard to try to get a perfect match on colors. Now we've lived here for 5 years now, I guess, and I painted my bathroom at my old house this color. And how I got this color was buying several cans of what they call oops paint. They are paints that somebody didn't pick up, or that a color didn't quite turn out the color that a customer wanted. So this is just primer, and it's tinted gray. And for some reason, somebody didn't pick this one up. And I use it on all kinds of things, but I have it around and have a half gallon. So we will you want to make sure you get a good coating on it so that it seals right in. We'll let this dry, and I'll come back tomorrow or later on today. You want at least an hour in between coats of paint, but you can see it's really soaking this up. And I would rather it soak up the primer than a bunch of paint and affect the finish. And you can do this with a roller as well, but it's just a small area, and I don't want a lot of cleanup. So as you can see, we're now all repaired, it's all primed, and now we're just ready for paint. So now you know how to repair your drywall damage and patch yourself up so that your house is whole again. Thanks for watching, bye.